Good evening, and thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I hope the members enjoyed the reception earlier. It was great to see so many of you spending time together and spending time with these fantastic artists. We really do appreciate your support. My name is Eric Meek. I'm the Senior Manager of Hot Glass Programs here at the museum, and I've been involved with Blown Away since we first met the production team here in Corning in the summer of 2018, so it's been quite a journey. This season, you might catch glimpses of me assisting Morgan and Ryan on the Mobile Hot Shop in episode 9. But we're all here to celebrate the phenomenon Blown Away and some of the incredibly talented artists featured in season 4. And I'd like to take just a minute to talk about these folks and introduce them and let you know a little bit more about them and their background. We're going to start with Bill Gudenrath. So Bill was the evaluator. The guest evaluator in episode 9 of season 4, and Bill's the co-founder, along with his wife, Amy Schwartz, of the Studio, the Corning Museum of Glass's own glass school, make your own glass space, and soon to be open academy and casting center. Bill has dedicated, we're all excited for that. This is just across the street. The facility over there is expanding, and it's so exciting. Bill has dedicated his decades-long career to researching and making glass in the Roman and Venetian style, and recently published his third ebook, Techniques of Roman Period Glassmaking, which is chock full of amazing information and video demonstrations of glassmaking. Bill remains one of the most sought-after glassmaking instructors, having taught thousands of makers, including myself, the fundamentals and nuances of this material we all love. So Bill, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. And thanks to Eric. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Eric. It was his idea to have a focus on Venetian techniques, and he thought of me as one of the evaluators. And so, Eric, thank you.
You bet.
Very kind of you.
Cool. That's so cool.
This is getting ahead of ourselves, but early on in talking to Blown Away, I always thought, gosh, we should have a Venetian techniques, but it wasn't the right time. So in episode 1, we were thinking about it, but it was finally the right time, and it all worked out. Morgan Peterson was introduced to glass at Massachusetts College of Art and Design. After graduating, she relocated immediately to Seattle and began working with many notable artists, including Buster Simpson and Bruce Mau. Today, Morgan is one of the full-time glassmakers working for Dale Chihuly. She's heavily involved in the Pratt Fine Arts Center and Pilchuck Glass Schools, not only as a member of the staff, but also an instructor. Morgan's work has developed inside and outside these industrial spaces into a unique system of metaphor and imagery based on themes of satire through pop culture and addiction. Morgan, welcome. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ryan Thompson is a glass artist and designer living and working in Toledo, Ohio recently, or in the process of moving between Detroit and Toledo.
Correct.
Upon graduating with his BFA from Bowling Green State University, he began working at the Toledo Museum of Art, the birthplace of the studio glass movement. In 2018, Ryan moved to Detroit to take a full-time position at the Greenfield Village Glass Shop at the Henry Ford Museum, where he specializes in reproductions and contemporary design objects. Recently, Ryan is in the process, has left his position at the Henry Ford, and with his partner, ceramicist Kayla Kirk, took over ownership of Gathered Glass, an established studio offering functional and sculptural glass, as well as public art and commissions in Toledo. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Yep, my pleasure.
Yay,
Thank
Ryan.
you. Thank you.
Gemma Hollister is a glassblower and emerging artist from Philadelphia. She began working with glass at the Tyler Glass School of Art and Architecture and graduated in 2021. Gemma currently works full-time at her production studio, Antolini Glass Co, which she co-owns with her partner. When not working at her own studio, Gemma travels working as a teaching assistant and glassblower. I love this quote too from your website. On her work, Gemma says, "The act of creating glass, as in many crafts, is a protest against an unresolved and rapidly evolving technological world. Glass historically has proven the power to educate, inspire, and call to action those who observe it." Lovely quote, and thank you for being here.
Nice.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to get through some questions, and there will be an opportunity for questions and answer at about quarter after here. So if you have questions, I know a lot of you have been with us all day long. A lot of you have had a lot of questions answered, but we're going to have time for more questions, and we're going to take some online questions as well. So, Bill, I'm going to start with you because this is the question I want to hear tonight. Bill, you're the guest evaluator that we all wanted, but we never thought we'd see on Blown Away.
Right.
Tell us about your perspective on what the show has done for the glass community.
Oh, well, I have to say, I think they made the right decision right up front. And this is going to be a funny thing to hear from me because I'm all about the techniques, how you do things. And I'm about refining techniques, and I'm fascinated with all the different historical periods in glass because they did things differently, and that is my world. It's the intricacies of how things are made. And that is exactly what they didn't do on the show, which was fantastic. It was all about creativity from the beginning. Glass is a medium for expressing yourself. And I've always thought that the founders of the studio glass movement, Littleton, Labino, all those people, it was real clear to me that it was about creativity and it was about a new material for doing interesting things, not about making Venetian goblets and so forth. Venetian goblets are like a pianist or a violinist learning scales and arpeggios. The purpose is to develop a technique that will allow you to make whatever you want. And I thought, boy, it would have been so easy for them to make a show about how perfect can you make this, how fast can you make this, and they didn't do that at all. It was from the very beginning about what can you do with this amazing material. By the way, you're going to be doing it by glass blowing mostly, and some manipulation, but I loved that that was the focus because that's what the studio glass movement is all about. It's about creativity.
I couldn't agree with you more. I thought, I heard Blown Away, competition reality show, fastest, biggest, straightest,
Exactly.
all of this. But I think it's the challenges too, right? Like whoever's coming up with those challenges is just genius because that's what pushes the creativity. And I think it might even surprise the folks who made the show, right? How quickly it pivoted to that creative side and not so much to the technical side. I want to say too, if you guys have anything to say about any of these questions, please chime in too. We'd love to hear from everybody.
Definitely.
I'm like, well said. I couldn't have said that.
I think that, like making the largest or the straightest cylinder or whatever is interesting and exciting, but the challenge of being conceptual under the confines of the challenges, it was just, makes it so much more difficult, and you see so much more of each artist's unique sensibilities with, discussion of topic and the material. It's very cool.
It is very cool.
And just like to be a glassblower is technical. I mean,
Inherently,
it's
yeah.
hard. Has anyone here blown glass? How
Yeah.
hard is it? It's hard. Everything we do is technical. It's technical. It's just like it's a hard medium. There's just different facets to it. And everyone on the show that's been on the show past, present, is incredibly gifted and talented. And it's a game. It's just a game that we got to play with our friends, and we all love each other. Well, just kidding. Just kidding.
Now you're getting to
I
the
love
part
you.
that
I
everybody
love you.
wants
I
to
love
hear.
you.
Everybody wants to hear
for
the
yourself.
dirt, but
Speak for
we'll
yourself.
see. Ryan, I want to ask you because I heard you talk about something on the show, and I want to know more about it. So you said your dark side is lack of confidence. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. But tell me, where did you go? What did you do before stepping in that hot shop to motivate you, to give you that confidence?
I think that as a craftsperson who's concerned with, like Bill, the technicality of creating an object and the how well it's executed, I am pretty consistently my harshest critic. And there's a point that I was learning and experiencing on the show where you have to kind of step back and allow things to be what they are. And that's always been a challenge for me. And I think that with that piece, like showing my own work or my new experiments was always a challenge. I always felt like I was, taking some unknown risk by putting myself out there, and agreeing to be on the show was, a giant leap for me into who knows what was to come. So I think that piece for me was kind of that whole that conversation there.
Yeah. Gemma, you one thing that surprises me about Blown Away is that every season we see amazingly accomplished glass artists walk onto that floor, and we're all surprised, like, oh my gosh, Dan Friday's there, Karen Willenbring's there, Janusz Bosniak's there, Deb Cheresco, amazing artists, and I hope you don't mind if I say that you're a relative rookie. You graduated in 2021, that blows my mind, right? But tell me about navigating the show and the world of glass art as an emerging artist. Like how do you feel you fit into that?
Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting because, and I've said this a couple of times, when the first season of Blown Away came out, which was not that long ago, was when I had started blowing glass. And so I was like, I took a glass blowing class and I was like, Mom, Dad, look, like this is what I'm gonna do, And I see people pulling cane. I'm like, I'm like taking notes. Like I'm being really serious about it. And to walk, the first day that we walked on set, we were like in a straight line. We couldn't like see anyone or talk to anyone. And I can like hear Karen's voice and I can hear all these people that I'm like, oh my God, I know who these people are. And I had known Morgan and I had known Ryan just from the internet and admired his work. So it was extremely intimidating. But I think one of my like mantras there, instead of fake it till you make it, was face it till you make it. And I was like, I'm gonna show up every day and I'm gonna tell myself that I am good enough to be here, I'm gonna be able to make this stuff. And then it became a reality. So it was bizarre. And I also think too, being in a younger generation of glassmakers, we have the internet, we have YouTube, and I've been watching videos of this hot shop for the past 4 years, and so I have every resource at my fingertips to become a good glassblower, and it's just worked out that way. So it's been really nice. Yeah. It's
really a testament to it's a different landscape than when I learned to make glass, certainly, and we were sharing pirated VHS cassettes of,
like Glass
Dante
India.
demoing at Pilchuck in 1989 and things like that. So it's an absolutely different world.
Yeah.
Things like this, things like you coming here today, you guys are contributing to that. Being on Blown Away and perpetuating that, the sharing of knowledge is just an amazing thing, and one of the things we all love about glass blowing, for sure. Morgan, we talked about this a little bit this morning when you started your demo. If anyone wasn't there, each of these artists demonstrated here in the amphitheater today, and Morgan kicked it off this morning at 10. And I said it then, and I'm going to say it again here, that over the seasons, Morgan, for me, has been one of the contestants who has stayed most true to herself and blended her artistic style and her point of view and her personality and mixed it in with these incredibly challenging challenges that you were faced with. So, in as much as you can you tell us about how you blended your personal style with the challenges and how you stayed true to yourself when being challenged to work and express yourself in so many different ways?
Well, I'm like an unhinged psychopath, so it's like I don't know anything else. It's like I only know how to do this. So it's like if you're going to put me on television and allow me to do whatever I want, that's your problem. I loved every aspect of being on that show, and I've had other friends be on reality shows, and they didn't have it's different, but the care that we receive from production, all that made it very easy to be able to make the work that we all made, and they were just very supportive. So it was just kind of like, they would give us the prompts, and sometimes we'd have to get things. I mean, I don't know if it was because of me, but you'd have to get things approved.
I think it was definitely because of her.
Yeah.
Did you have to get things approved?
After she set a precedent for who knows what's coming, everybody had to get things approved.
Which I love. I'm like,
it was great.
All right, but it's like, and I also knew Ryan from the internet, but it was something else. Just kidding. Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch that, they actually had to share their their concepts with the production team before they started making them, get them
Yeah.
approved to make sure nothing was too.
Well, it's, it is a TV show, and they have to be able to air it, and they have
Yeah.
to have a show. But they were so accommodating to us and very helpful. Like, they're Canadian, so they're just inherently nice, It's just, they are. They're just very kind and gentle, and it's like my experience, basically they just let me be myself, which is, you're not going to get anything other than that, because I don't know how to do anything else. The only thing they can do is censor me, which is, which I'm sure there was, I know there was a lot of, because it's 23 minutes. But,
And
I feel,
PG-13, so.
yeah, PG-13. But it's just, I felt like we were all represented very well. And, I don't know, I feel like I just do what I do. I don't know how to do anything else. It's like, you give me something, I'm going to regurgitate it, and, verbal diarrhea everywhere, it's just going to come out and be like, whoops, like, you like it, right? Maybe not, maybe I'm going home. It's like, but at least, I always thought in my mind, I was like, if I do something that's not something that's representative of myself, that, like, I'll be upset. So specifically on the Venetian challenge, I was like, oh, God damn it. Like, and it's like, I'm expletive. I know where I'm at. I'm behaving today. And then Charlie's sitting up front. I don't want to upset you, Charlie, with my horrible language. But, we were allowed to talk to people. And I spoke to my partner, Courtney, who's an amazing glass artist, and James Mongrain, who works for Dale, one of the best glass blowers in the world. And I told them my idea. And they told me, you absolute psychopath, don't you dare do that in front of Bill Gudenrath. Do you have any clue you know who that is? I was like, yeah, of course I do. And they're like, do you really, that you're going to get sent home? And it made me so angry and I work out of spite. So I was just like, I'm not gonna listen to you. You're both morons. And so I trusted my gut, and that's what I always do. I trust my gut. Sometimes it gets you in trouble, which a lot of times that's where I land. But it's, it didn't get me in trouble that day.
No, it worked out. Quite
It
the
worked
opposite.
out.
Yeah.
Did you win episode 9, the Venetian challenge?
She
I did. The American glassblower chasing the Venetian
That's
dragon.
awesome.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
That was an awesome piece.
I'm not upset at all about it. No.
Chasing the dragon. Yeah.
Womp womp, Ryan.
Oh. Yeah.
No, Ryan's one of the best. Like, you're so good. Like, you remind me so much of Jimmy. Like, and Jimmy's like one of the best. Like, I don't know if you
Yes.
guys understand like how good this man is.
Oh, thank
But
you.
he's like he has the most set of gifted hands
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
True
I've seen a lot of amazing glassmakers. And Gemma, I've told you this multiple times. Like, if I was where you were at when I was your age, I'd be a lot further right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I'm surrounded by amazing people. So it's just like I'm always impressed with what I see. And it's just like, it's hard to fail when you're surrounded by winners. So it's just like,
Dubs.
like,
Jeez.
it's true. It's true.
You're not.
It's true.
So everybody wants to know: Are you signed up for Bill's class this summer?
This winter.
This winter, awesome.
This winter,
Yeah.
for my
you
partner's
want.
50th birthday, I got him the class along with myself so we can spend time with Bill.
You guys are both
Wait,
We're
going?
both
taking
going
it?
to be here.
Oh, that
yeah,
is
yeah.
awesome.
No, we're both coming. Yeah.
So fun.
Okay. Hey, do you guys want to sign up for that class this winter? I totally want to take it now.
Yeah.
I'm there too.
Can I do it for free?
There.
Eric, I think I might have a TA for the class too.
Oh.
I got to TA for Bill last year.
Nice.
I was so nervous. Bill's like, "Oh, did you show the students Marisa's?" I'm like, "Bill, I haven't practiced. I'm so bad."
And he was like, "It's okay. I'm gonna do it by myself. You just."
Yeah,
stand
yeah.
Yeah, right.
I know. I'm like, what do I have to do here? You're your best assistant. So yeah, sign me up. I'm there.
That'll be really fun.
Oh, nice.
Bill, so again, today we talked about that the Blown Away has evolved in the way that the contestants can interact with each other during the filming, so they can go together and have a drink and have some food at the end of the day. But I know that you still don't talk to Hunter and you don't talk to Kathy during the filming. Like that's kind of a different thing. So I want to hear from you what it was like working with Hunter and Kathy, so the hosts of the show. And tell us what kind of things were you talking about, when you were deliberating and talking about that Venetian episode? What was the conversation like when you were evaluating episode 9?
Well, I was really nervous about one thing, and that was being the outlier on the jury. I was really concerned that if I felt strongly, I was going to have to assert myself in a way that I wasn't going to be comfortable with. But we were all pretty clear on that. So there weren't ugly deliberations and there weren't fights about it. We were pretty clear about what we liked and what we thought should, who we thought should go on and who shouldn't. So that was a pleasant surprise because I was kind of dreading that. They were super welcoming. I mean, everybody was. I've known Catherine for years and years, and I thought the new host was just terrific. I thought he did
great.
a heck
He's
of a
wonderful.
good job. And he had clearly bonded with everybody really well. He's however he comes across on TV, he's a very self-effacing person, very nice person. He's Canadian. and it was a really good dynamic between the three of us, I thought. And I hope it came off because I thought it was a really good front for our group.
I agree.
Bill, you had a couple of the most memorable quotes. I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Something clearly went wrong.
Iconic.
Right.
did.
That's like Houston, we have a problem.
Yep.
I thought it was me.
Right.
And I think this was for Johnny's cup. It's a little bit crooked. How did that happen?
Yeah. One of the hardest things about making a Venetian-style goblet, or any goblet, is that at a certain point, everything is soft. And how do you keep the foot edge parallel to the rim of the cup? And that's really tricky. It's really hard to do. A lot of stuff can go wrong, and stuff always does go wrong. So, yeah, that came to my attention. That it was a little uneven.
Morgan, let's talk about the final install a little bit. And so it can be seen right back here in the corner. So please, everyone, take a moment to go and check that out if you'd like. But that is such an ordeal. There's so much going on, so much happening. Can you tell us about the components of that you're most satisfied with, and if there's anything that you feel is unfinished?
So that installation is about the 6 merry murderesses. So it's like, I love musical theater, I love drag. So it's like an homage, a love letter to my favorite art form, which is drag. So every single episode of the show that I'm in is a drag race or a drag queen reference. But also in the finale, I wore like one of my favorite artists' colors, Dale Chihuly, my boss, a mentor of mine, and I ran the studio the way he would run the studio. So it was a love letter to him, the team I work on, and all the artists that I love and respect, and what I like to look at as a viewer. So, and I got to, in the way I ran the studio, it was how Dale would run the shop. So you put trust into other people to make your work. And Helen, Chris, and Tom are exceptional makers. They're master makers. It is impossible to be dissatisfied with the work that they made. I would not change a thing. I feel like I had the golden ticket. I got to work with people I've respected for years. The only thing I wish that I could have changed is have more time. It takes me years to complete a project, to have only 10 hours and have 3 master makers and then work next to someone I consider family at this point. Like someone I respect at that level, it's like, you're amazing. It was just a dream come true to work next to a best friend with these amazing makers. I wouldn't change a thing. I would do it all over again, even if the outcome was different. I would
never
still
do
feel
it
like a
again.
win.
Hell no.
I enjoyed every aspect of it. Like, I have admired your work for years before I ever met you, and like it took going to Canada to become friends and be with all those amazing people to make a friendship, and I knew my sweet baby Gemma. It's like I have nothing but positive things to say. Like it was a wonderful experience. Like
Yeah.
through and
I do
throughout.
agree. I was joking. I would not like to compete in that format again. Once was awesome, and a lot of growth came from it. Fun, tragic. It was everything. But yeah, I don't know.
Stressful.
It was a growing
Stressful.
experience. It was very stressful.
Like, do your eyes twitch still too?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I get it right here.
But of all the scenarios, we were in the best hands. Like literally, everyone was gentle and kind and respectful and treated us with kindness, and like we genuinely love each other. So, no, I wouldn't. The only thing I would change is the time frame, but I would still have the same crew of people because they are that amazing. Like I just want to steal Helen, Chris, and Tom.
No.
Take them home in my luggage. It's big enough. I'll just put them in there.
Just for frame of reference again, so this is the final episode after a stretch of how many days?
It was 6.5 weeks, I think.
6.5 weeks
Is that right?
in Hamilton, Ontario, with 2 days off. So this finale, this final episode, is happening at the end of that, and that just amps up.
I've
the
had
intensity.
harder jobs than that.
I have not.
I have.
I don't want a harder job than that.
I
I'm
was
good.
in Singapore during the pandemic, prior to vaccines, installing a show with the crew for Dale. I just remember swimming out in the water with 40, 50-pound floats, and then a monsoon hit, and we had to anchor 100-pound weights that floated 20 feet down. The monsoon hit, the water level rose, and they floated down. We had to swim back out and pull them all back by hand, and then we had to move the installation again.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
So I've done harder things than that.
Yeah.
Done
Ryan,
harder things than that.
Kind of the
Yeah.
same question about the final install. So, it's brilliant. I just have to say, season 4, the finale was a flip of the coin. I mean, there were
Yeah,
two
absolutely.
world-class installations.
Thanks. Thank you.
So kind of the same question for you, what is there any component of that you just feel is unfinished that you'd like to try again, or will it inform your work moving forward?
Definitely. I was super excited that when we got that thing up, it hung, it stayed hanging, and it drew lines in the sand. The physics of that whole thing is something that I didn't have any experience with, and I had done some YouTube reading or whatever videos, and I think I had it figured out. But as far as like the execution goes, like I've explained, like I really nitpick the way that things come together and what that final aesthetic is and what the curve of each object is. So I would love to make each of those objects over and over again to, really figure out and be able to play with that composition that I created. But overall, I was, more than happy with how that piece turned out. And I haven't really told too many people yet, but that piece was actually cracked. And when I hung it up, I was not sure if it was going to stay hanging. And I don't know why it cracked. I have some guesses. I think maybe it was cooling a little too quickly because of the time that was necessary to turn around these episodes. But it was on me for blowing that glass just a little bit too thick. But it stayed hanging for the time that it needed to. So and they didn't zoom in on the crack, so it was good.
That's we were talking about this earlier too. A part of the show that you really don't see is the install and the madness that happens in the finale for sure, but maybe in the other episodes too, of getting the piece out of the annealer, cold working it, doing any cold work, doing any gluing, getting it on the pedestal. That can be a pretty fraught time as well, right?
I think that whatever heartbreak or drama that you guys witnessed in the actual Hot Shop filming was nothing compared to the heartbreak and drama that existed between the cold shop and actually, installing those pieces. That was certainly a missed opportunity as far as like good television goes, because it was always wild and the clock's still ticking. We had anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe an hour and a half, depending on what the project was.
Yeah, it got longer as longer we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cold working is inherently a process that takes a lot more time than blowing glass, and you had less time to do it, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it was a lot of tears in the cold shop.
A lot of tears.
Maybe there's going to be a spin-off show called Ground Away or something.
There you go.
Oh man. Well, I
It's like
remember
watching paint dry.
Yeah,
I mean, I live it.
There's
so.
a reason the
and it
cameras
doesn't
aren't in
sound
there.
cool either. It just sounds like, Oh man.
Oh goodness. Gemma, so we talked about a couple of your pieces earlier today again, so I'm sorry if you weren't here. The audience wasn't there for that, but I do want to talk about Doom Scroll ad infinitum. And in that piece you talk about struggles with mental health. So I think related to that might be what's happened since you finished filming and since the season has dropped. So tell me about the, how this has impacted you, since this has come on and your life has changed dramatically in a month. So
Yeah. I mean, I think that piece was something that I had really wanted to make for a little while, and I was like, what better platform to put this work that I'm passionate about out than on TV? And since I made that piece, people ask me most about that one, and it's been a piece that I really wouldn't have changed anything. I obviously would have made it, nicer in more time. But it's been really incredible seeing how many people have reached out to me and said that they've really related to this feeling of being bright and colorful on the outside and feeling trapped on the inside. And that has really meant a lot to me, because I was like, am I a crazy person, like making these hamster tubes, and am I like not making any sense when I make this piece? But it's definitely something I still relate to. It's been incredible being on the show, and there's all of a sudden all this attention on you, and so I've found myself more addicted to my phone and more feeling influenced by things that people say to me online, and it's been kind of hard to distance myself from that, because it's 90% positive, but like the 10% of people who are just horrible, it's just
You only
not,
get 10%?
Yeah, and thankfully more like less, but and even about anyone else, you'll get an awesome comment that's like, I loved your piece, but like Ryan sucked, you should have, something like that. I mean, never, but 'cause
Sorry
you're
I
amazing,
sent
but-
that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and
Zing.
it's so bizarre. It's such a bizarre
love
thing, and
it.
I also think that being on TV is a tool, social media is a tool, and it's so linked to my work and what I do, but it also has so many negative impacts. So it's a piece that I'm actually working on developing a more idealized version for our show at Traver Gallery. Little plug. Traver in October, me, Karen, and Morgan. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm also happy that I kind of made a piece that maybe was, it didn't win in the competition, and it sent me home, and it was something that was subtle, but it spoke to people. So I wouldn't have changed anything about making that work and having people relate to a piece about struggles of mental health. So
yeah,
yeah.
It
Thanks.
was a good
thank you.
piece.
Thanks. Good. Thanks. Yeah.
So the plot twist this year was the mobile hot shop. So we were so pleased that the production team that make this show wanted to change things up a little bit, and they invited us up with the mobile hot shop. How did you guys hear? When did you hear that you'd be working at a different stage, and what went on in your head when you're like, oh, we're leaving the shop, we're going to make glass somewhere else?
There was like rumblings, like something's happening. Nobody would say what it was, and we were like, what the heck's gonna happen? Well, how could this get any more intense? But I was excited to get out of that space and be someplace else, because it was brutal in there, and I also knew that your guys' equipment would work, which was
shady.
also pretty exciting. Yep.
I was just thinking of ways to push you two down the stairs. Throw some pearls at you. Just kidding. Not really. Just kidding.
Totally. She's kidding.
It was in May, but it was a very cool day.
Was it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just remember I had
Yeah.
a pink jumpsuit on. That's
Yeah,
the
it
only
was-
thing I remember.
Well, didn't you? Yeah, you were rocking the jumpsuits a lot.
Yeah.
It was the only time that we were pampered as contestants. They were like slathering sunscreen on our faces.
They were?
They didn't do that to you?
I don't think that was sunscreen.
Definitely was. But yeah, I don't know. So that was nice.
Yeah. No, it was
To
great.
to have sunscreen put on.
And then, what did you really think when Johnny spent the 30 minutes that he got with a disastrous cane pull?
I was really surprised that he went into that pulling cane.
Yeah.
I was.
I was not.
No? You
He
knew
pulled
that was
cane
going to
like
happen?
That fool. Like, I'm going to pull. Of course he pulled cane.
Yep.
Like, come on. Par for the course, right? Come on.
Yeah.
It's Johnny.
The playing field got leveled there pretty quick, and then
It
you
did.
guys were back at it.
I thought it was really funny. I was like really entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not an easy thing again, and John, if you're listening,
He's amazing.
you're amazing, and
God.
in that episode, in episode 9, when we were on the mobile hot shop, I was helping out, and we had 30 minutes, and it was no joke, 30 minutes, like stopwatch. And the first thing he does is says, "Let's pull some cane." to make his goblet.
I was utterly incredulous. I thought,
God, I love
has
him.
this guy lost it? He's been here for 6 weeks, and I guess
Yeah.
it's just pushed him over the edge. And then he made that incredibly
amazing.
interesting stem, and I thought, wow, that's what you're supposed to be doing, that kind of wild and wacky, bold stuff. It was so unfortunate that it worked out the way it did. But boy, was I admiring. I was incredulous, then I was so admiring.
Yeah, same. I couldn't believe it. I never ran around a shop so fast, like trying to keep everything going. But
He's so lovable.
He
God.
is such a wonderful fella and such a
I love him.
kind spirit.
Yes, yes.
And it was really cool to see him win that challenge. I have to say.
I think so too.
No offense.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
My cup didn't have a cup on it.
Yeah. Well, had a bubble thing on it.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of.
it was bubble.
I imagined it there.
Thank
I could
you.
see it. And it was beautiful.
Thank you.
So I want to know what's coming up. Now, Ryan, I talked a little bit about what's next for you, but can you tell us what's on the horizon for you?
So I'm currently still running the glass shop at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and I'm going to continue that role until May 20th. And then starting May 21st, the very next day, I'm going to begin working full-time at Gathered Glassblowing Studio in Toledo, Ohio. That was co-owned by two of my earliest mentors and at this point, close friends, Adam Goldberg and Mike Stevens. They're both moving on to do other things. Adam's going back to school, and Mikey is he's going to keep making his art. So I've purchased the business and intend to kind of copy and paste some of the public outreach and community engagement that they do with workshops. But am super excited to see what happens when my job is to go to work and be creative and make the things that I want to make. I've never had that opportunity. Glass blowing has always kind of been, mostly for whatever institution I was working for, and which has been, invaluable. It's been the best part of this material, but it's very exciting to step onto the next thing. And then, as you mentioned when you introduced me, my partner Kayla Kirk is a ceramicist, and she'll be putting a studio into the same space. So we're really excited to just have this kind of community-based craft mecca in one space, and to see what comes out of that.
That is really exciting because you don't see a lot of shops that have two specialists in one space. And
Yep.
That's really, really cool. Gemma, you mentioned Traver coming up, but what else is on your horizon?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting to take a class here in August. Very excited. I'll be, I'm still kind of new to this, so I'm still trying to learn and improve at every chance I can. So I'm taking a class with Boyd Sagiki and Lisa Zerkowitz here. I know, I'm like, look at their faces, they're jealous.
I am.
It's going to be amazing. And then I'm TAing for Martin Yanetsky here with my partner, and my partner Tate and I live in Philadelphia. So we're just going to be making a lot of pineapples, acorns, strawberries, and working towards this show at Traver is a very big thing for me. So I'm trying to focus as much energy as I can on that and say no to other things.
There's a handful of really prestigious glass galleries in the United States. Traver is in Seattle, and it's an amazing space, and that will be a knockout show. So it's you two and Karen Willenbrink Johnson, right? Yeah, that's super exciting. Morgan, how about you? What's on the horizon?
Besides poor life choices, I'm just kidding. No, I just work all the time, but I have a class at Pilchuck that I'm taking. I'm really excited about. It's like a Victorian sign painting class, which I'm.
With Eddie.
Yeah.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, and with Bill, I'll be with Bill. I go to Barango this year. What else am I doing? Just working in my studio a lot, getting ready for the Traver show. So I'm doing a lot of portraits of my favorite drag friends, all my performance artist friends. So I have a lot of beautiful queens sitting for me. So I'm very excited about that, and attending a lot of different drag shows so I can get these beautiful people and con them into sitting for me for my portrait study. So a lot of engraving and just kind of doing my thing, going to LA a few times, going to Palm Springs, where I plan to retire. With all the other drag queens. That's what I consider myself. So just a lot of work in general, and just preparing for the future, and ideally just continuing this amazing journey. I can't even believe it's only been a little bit over a month. It's changed my life so drastically, and I am so thankful to Corning Museum of Glass, to Dale, to Marble Media, to Netflix, Ryan, Gemma, like just for being my friends, and for the fact that I even got this opportunity is wild. And like I feel like the luckiest person in the world. I get to work with my best friends every day, and I get to work for someone that I respect and admire and love. And I then got to leave to go be with my friends to do this crazy thing that has completely changed my life. And I'm living my dream, like not many people get to say that, and I'm internally grateful to everyone that's been a part of it, and I'm very grateful for you all being here supporting us. Like,
yes, definitely.
It's a huge
thank
honor.
you, guys.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you for driving to see us. Thank you for being supportive of us. Like, you're the reason why that this is a big hit. You watched the show and engaged with us, no matter how unhinged, ornery.
How much we cried.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
But, it's just, I just feel very, I feel really special, and I just feel very grateful, and I feel like I'm in a dream. So.
That's part of the magic of this show, in that it is truly, in 2018 when we sat there and spoke with the producers, they said, well, this is going to be a love letter to glass. Glass is a challenging material. There doesn't need to be drama between the contestants. No. And it's so awesome that it's stuck to that, and that it's really allowed so many people to blossom as artists. And we've seen that. And you see that it has staying power, too. So Deborah and Yanush and the other participants from the first season they're still riding the wave.
Well, and we're, the way we work is we are a team. Like, there isn't drama between us because we work as a unit. It's like an idea comes to fruition, and it takes so many people to create that idea. It's like the way I model everything after Dale, and it's like there's so many people that help make that work, but there's like the genius behind it, which, that's how it goes. And we all work as a unit. It doesn't serve any purpose to put someone else down. We're all in it together, and every single person that was there is an important facet to what we do. Everyone has a very special skill that they bring to the table. Everyone is an expert at what they do and should never be discredited. It's like I respect every single person that was there. They're all brilliant at what they do.
There's during the show, like the cadence of the show and the challenges, I mean, it disrupts that a little bit, right? Because you're being creative in isolation a little bit, and we always typically have time to talk to each other. Gemma, just talk a little bit about the cadence of the episode. Like, how long does it take to film? What are the days like, and things like that?
Yeah, so the days started out, the first episode was a bit longer than the other ones, and then I know for the finale it was a bit longer. But it was kind of go, go, go the whole time. We would get to set in the morning, and we would, all line up, and they'd tell us the challenge, and they'd be like, all right, everyone, go. And we'd run to our stations. Okay, let's film it again. Everyone, go. And we'd run to our station. All right, we film it again, And then 2 at a time, we'd do the drawing. And then we'd have lunch.
Oh, they only had 2 drawing boards, so you had to do it 2 at a time.
Yeah, or just for the sake of noise and filming. So, and then we all sit and have lunch. And, of course, we're, like, all anxious and, like, can't eat. And then they're like, all right, and your 6 hours starts now. And that time was really true to how, like, the challenge time. It was really pencils down after 6 hours. And then, you'd go home and you'd recover. And then the next day, we'd come in and we'd interview about what we had done the previous day. And then we would cold work our pieces. And then we would install them. And then the next day, we would come in and we would film the gallery scenes. And then someone got sent home. And then we'd blow glass again the next day, and it was so exhausting. It was so hard, and I remember when I got sent home, I was like, oh man. Then I was like, oh my God, I get to go home. I was like, and then I was like, saw them at the hotel. I was like, suckers! Like, I'm going home. I'm sleeping in my own bed. I have a kitchen. Like, this is awesome. So it was awesome, but it was like go go go. We had 2 days off, I think.
The whole
Went to the
time.
botanical gardens.
And you guys are staying in a hotel, right? It's not like you have a kitchen to cook in.
I ate like grocery store sushi every day. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna get scurvy. It was bad. It was real bad.
All right, so we're at the point of the program where I think we're going to open it up to some questions from you all. So Helen and Jeff, if you'll come on down. We do ask that if you have a question, wave your hand, and Helen and Jeff are up at the top, and they'll come and give you the microphone, and that way we can hear you here in the amphitheater, and they can also hear you online. So anybody have any questions they want to ask Morgan? I'm sorry, Morgan, Gemma, and Ryan. There's a hand down here.
I can't see anything.
I can't see anything.
I'm like a deer.
Mm-hmm.
Whose hand was it? Okay. Thank you. I know in TV they always edit everything to make it look like last minute, like literally like throwing your stuff in the annealer when there's 1 second left.
You thought that was edited?
That's my question, is how close were your finishes to the timer? Like, what was the closest you ever came?
I never walked off that floor before they told me to leave.
Oh,
Ever,
you
not
did
once.
on the mobile hot shop.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
different. Like,
that
I'm
was
done.
different.
Over it.
Yeah, she's like, made a cup, goodbye.
Goodbye.
30 minutes, don't need that.
Done.
I think it was different for me every time, but most of the time it was really, really close. I was also kind of apprehensive about finishing too early. I was like, oh well, there's got to be something I can work on until the buzzer goes off. I don't want them to have the conversation that I walked off before it was over.
Right.
So always tried to stay out there. But yeah, definitely towed the line a couple times, real close.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever like go over and they had to pretend that they didn't?
You can't.
No,
They
yeah,
don't
they
allow it.
pencils
Yeah.
down, like stop,
You
box
cannot.
it.
They're extremely strict about fairness. I think, everyone on the internet is like, it's rigged, it's blah, blah. They were so strict about
Rigged.
fairness. Yeah, I know, rigged. I'm like, I saw you smash my gummy bear, girl.
I
I'm just
did.
kidding. But yeah, no, everything was like really, really down to the wire and really strict. I would make like extra parts sometimes too if I had an extra 30 minutes because I was like, something could go wrong. I could break this in the cold shop. What could I make? So I'd just make little parts if I could.
Yep.
But it was down to the wire, most of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
question.
All right, and also if you've joined us on Zoom tonight, please use your Zoom chat, and I've got my little computer here to relay some questions. We have one here about staying hydrated. Did they help you stay hydrated, stay nourished, and things like that during the filming?
The staff was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Like they are so on top of it. Whether I listened to them or not was on me. But they were so, I feel like gentle. I don't know. It was very caring. Like I became very tight, specifically with one of the people, like one of my best friends now, sweet baby Andy. She was like my
And
mom.
she's here with us right now.
She's got to be here somewhere, but
She's up there.
she's up there. But Andy specifically, like I love that woman. She took care of us and like
Mama
made
Andy.
sure, Mommy Andy.
You see 10 glass blowers on Blown Away, but this is the one thing that I think we would all want to share with you is that there is a team, an amazingly incredibly talented team of professionals behind that show, behind the cameras, doing the lighting, the everything.
I
think- Brilliant.
I think it was like 85 people every
Yeah.
day to make that machine work,
Holy
which
crap.
was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And they're all amazing.
Yeah, so much respect for all of them. But yeah, they were really honest about hydration. I think
We had like a whole they would give us a heat
EMTs
exhaustion,
and-
EMT talk.
Yep,
And
I think I was drinking like 3 of those instant hydration packs like
Oh, man.
a day.
But
I was,
you
I
just
was
couldn't
super
hydrate.
hydrated
It
the
was-
whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so hot.
Gemma, only wrong answers. I have another question here. You could only give this one the wrong answer. If you had made it to the finale, what would you have made?
Oh,
I know. Oh, I love
So
this.
my plot, I really wanted to make pumpkins. I was gonna be like, all right, guys, we're making pumpkins. I just thought it would be the most epic prank I could have ever pulled off.
I think it would have been amazing.
I know it would have been amazing.
Glass
And,
blower jokes, sorry.
Yeah.
Traver.
Oh, I'm
Hope
trying to
they're
get
not
some
listening.
pumpkin. I'm trying to make a Venetian style, like a Resinico pumpkin chandelier
Hilarious.
for Traver because the pumpkin is this glass object that is thought of as this thing that you make to sell money. Maybe it's so kitschy and it's looked down upon, but it's also not so different from the highest form of the the medium, which is also made as a commercial object. And so I wanted to just make as many pumpkins as I could and fill it. So I'll have to do putting some pumpkins in Traver, but you know.
Sneak one in there, like
Yeah.
the Cheeto.
Sneak one in there.
That
That'd be
Cheeto.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I think you should do it.
Any other
it's gonna
questions
happen.
on the floor here? Raise your hand up high.
Hi, I'm curious about the evaluation process. So, Bill, I know you mentioned sort of the back and forth already, but I'm curious. We hear the prompt and some key criteria. Is there a more specific rubric that you're held to, or is it really just the deliberations? And then for the contestants, we see a very brief sort of debrief. Is there more feedback and dialogue with the judges sort of before you get the final answer?
I think it was a gut reaction, and I think when I was there, we happened to all agree. I don't know about other episodes, of course, because I wasn't there, but they definitely gave the feeling that if you wanted to disagree, you could. It happened to be unanimous with my jury, and I think that the main thing is the concept. You know, I think there was a lot of forgiveness for a crack here or there and something that didn't work out occasionally if the overall concept was strong enough. And I thought that was as I said before, I thought that was a good thing to focus on.
Yeah.
And then for the second part of your question, as far as like us, I think you used the word debrief. Like there was definitely more dialogue between us, the artist, and the guest judge and our resident evaluators about what our piece meant to us and why we made it. And a lot of that was trimmed in order to, fit into the timeline of the show. So yeah, there's a lot more exchange there.
That was prior to presentation, though, so you got to talk about your concept behind the piece with the
No, it was
during.
Oh, yeah?
like when we're all
Yep.
standing there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we never saw like what they said about our pieces in the gallery when they're walking around.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the show and I'm like, oh man, what are they gonna say? And then sometimes it was nice. I was like, oh my, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
It was nice.
I just bullied the host, and they made me look so much nicer than I was on there.
Poor Hunter.
They
Thanks,
they really
Carly.
did. They really did. Yeah. You were-
Hey!
Well, no, in a nice way.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lightning round from each of you. What's your favorite
Okay.
piece someone else made on the show?
Oh man.
Morgan, we'll
Thank
come
you.
back.
The skull hand, the Ryan's piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gemma?
Snake hat.
Snake
Stop
Hat.
saying my work, you
Ryan's
guys.
piece.
My two.
Why don't you just say one of your own pieces? They did too.
There you
pick
go.
one.
Yeah, the Venetian vase I made. I was. I really thought that Johnny's spilled spaghetti night sculpture
love that
was
piece,
was
too.
super incredible, and not to mention like that he pulled that thing out of the grave. Like it was kind of broken from the process, and that was part of the cold shop drama that you didn't get to see. Is that was him saving that thing, which was really incredible.
It was
and
amazing.
yeah, that was a real feat,
amazing.
and yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Cool.
he is a beast,
Mm-hmm.
and the
He really
nicest one of the nicest human beings I've ever met.
Yeah, that definitely came across. Any other questions in the house here? Jeff is up here. What do you got, Jeff?
I have 2 questions. One, what is the hardest color to work with?
Orange.
Mushroom callback.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I watch.
That's what I was right about, right? Was it the
Yeah.
orange?
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. Orange is difficult. I don't know. Each color is different.
Stiff white.
Yeah.
you know?
Stiff white's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, orange is difficult, I guess. Black is kind of hard. I
Yeah,
don't know.
orange.
Yeah.
Orange
All
is
of
not
them.
hard.
The next
you know how to
part?
work with it.
Clear.
Part 2?
Clear.
What happens in the cold shop?
Mistakes.
It's too
Regret.
much. Well, yeah. I mean,
The cold shop, they're trying to take anything that might not have turned out and make it turn out, or get
Yeah,
the pieces ready for presentation.
Yeah, assemble objects together. So there's a lot of, if we were working in parts, a lot of kind of cutting and grinding in order to make glue connections. But as the episodes progressed, there was less and less opportunity to glue. They were kind of pushing us to do more in the hot shop. So there was less cold shop process towards the end there, I think. But early on, we were all hitting it very hard. There was a lot happening in the cold shop
Stressful.
for everyone.
So a ton of people through Blown Away have become interested in picking this up as a hobby. And for someone who might not physically be able to work in a glass blowing studio, what would you recommend for somebody who's interested in getting into glass or making art with glass?
YouTube. I mean, if it's something you want to learn about, like
Yeah.
the Corning YouTube is how I, especially during COVID, spent so much time learning about what is possible in glass. You know, it's no secret that it's not always a very accessible medium. It's extremely expensive. It's really hard to get into, but thankfully we have places like this where people have a lot more access to learn about it and then get their hands on it too.
Yeah.
You could also get like a diamond scribe and like a sponge with some water and old recycled bottles. And if you like to draw, you can engrave on the
Yeah.
surface. It's like a way, like, you know, that's how I learned how to engrave.
I know a lot of artists who do work in a hot shop. You know, you can't. It's expensive, right?
It's
And
very
I know a lot of
expensive.
artists who have expanded their practice doing things that you can do sitting at your kitchen table,
Yeah.
Definitely.
shaping glass and cold working it and working it in other ways. Bill?
And making beads.
Yep.
I think beads might be the best entry point in that it's hot working. Everything applies to this, to the furnace working. Anything you learn working at the torch applies to this, and vice versa, I might add. They're very, very complementary. It's
Very accessible. You can
Yeah.
get a burner and some glass rods and start becoming a glassmaker. And you
Kitchen
really
table.
learn the
yep,
fundamentals.
a map gas torch. You can make beautiful beads.
Okay. Any
And
more
it's
in the
like
audience, Jeff?
$50.
We have a hand down here. Mike is coming. Jeff is coming with Mike.
This is less of a glass question, but a subtext through the whole show was what Morgan was going to be wearing.
All right.
And
Hopefully
so
clothes.
I was always, I tuned in every episode just to see what you were wearing. But the question really is for Gemma, because she makes bananas and sells bananas, and you're wearing the bananas.
Yes.
Is there a story about the bananas?
She's allergic to them.
They'll kill me if I touch them. No, I'm not. I
lying.
really only made I made that banana in that challenge with Karen when we had we collaborated and we were making garbage. And I remember too, Ryan walks over, he's like, your piece looks like trash. I was like, "Eh." So, I made that
you.
banana. And
I love you.
Yeah, I was like,
Nailed
thank
it.
you, buddy. So I was like, okay, I have dog poop bags, water bottles, and bananas. And I'm not much of a sculptor. It's still very new to me. And it was a form that was just really fun to try to make, working with colors. Clear glass is my favorite glass. And it was something to push myself outside of my comfort zone. Then I look super cute in them, so I figured I'd wear them.
That's my girl.
Thanks for
Thanks,
asking.
Timo. Yeah, got some bananas for sale at the shop. I made 3 of them yesterday. I met some people today who got one of the yellow ones with the dichro on it. So there's 2 left. So shameless self-promotion. Yeah. Also sell
Good
other little
girl.
things. I'm like, check them out. Help me pay my rent.
There she is.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, there's a question for you. The critiques and the conversations with Hunter and Kathy, like how many takes did they have on those? Or, is it one take and we got it and move
They
on?
shoot for 10 minutes or so. In our case, like I said before, it was pretty unanimous, so we couldn't legitimately really chew over it that much.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of just chatting going on. As was alluded to many times, they say, do something, then they say, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes. Then all the cameras move. There's so many cameras. There's so much lighting. There's so many people. It's so complicated. And they'll say, we're going to take 5 minutes. And so they reposition. The cameras get behind the contestants, so they're looking at us, the jury, and all these different positionings. It's fascinating to see all of that. And the actual deliberations were maybe 10 minutes or so. That's one of the fascinating things about this kind of production. I will never probably be in this sort of thing again. It was utterly fascinating to see how many people are involved in this. At any given moment, there might be 6 or 7 synchronized cameras, some handheld, some on booms, some on a track. They're all over the place. They're constantly changing lenses, so there's this flurry of just activity around the cameras. And then there are the sound people. It's so phenomenally labor intensive, so complicated. And I walk out and I'm just myself. I get a question, I'm completely fine. This doesn't bother me at all. It was fascinating to watch that, and it gave me this amazing appreciation when you watch something on Netflix. There's an actor, they got another lines, they got to be in character, they're wearing some weird costume, they've got to walk a certain way, and at a certain moment somebody says action, and all this chaos suddenly becomes complete silence, and they got to do this amazing thing, and then they say cut, and then everything's normal for 10 minutes, and this is almost superhuman the way these people can do this. I have a new added admiration for the actors and the actresses who do all this, and the crew that makes it so invisible, their part so invisible. It's an amazing thing that comes together to make these things that we all take for granted now since COVID. We hoover all of this, and it's so difficult to do on their part.
It's amazing. Helen, a question up there?
Yeah, after 4 seasons and watching, at the end, of course, you get to work with these wonderful glassblowers from the Corning Museum of Glass, but the rest of the time you're working with students from Sheridan College. And we all know students are enthusiastic, some come with great skills, a lot of them have a lot of heart, but I don't know that they always have what you need. What was it like working with students when you're all mostly professional artists and you need them to help you realize your work?
All of the students from Sheridan College are, extremely invested in what it is you're creating. And I think that I can speak for a lot of the glass community when I say that, heart and passion and attentiveness are far more important to process than just flat-out skills. And somebody that is there 100% of the time until the piece goes into the box is a far more desirable situation. And they crushed it. None of the stuff that we were able to make on there would look the way it did without them.
Well put. Well put. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Yeah, truly. And I think, even no matter how skilled any assistant you're working with is, we switched and had random assistants every episode. So there's never an opportunity to build up a rapport with a set of assistants. It's really 5 hours. So that is a challenge for them and for us to be able to work like that on the fly. But again, yeah, everything that Ryan said. Everyone was just incredible and nice humans too, because they also knew, they had been on previous seasons before and were used to the television and stuff in a way that we weren't, and kept us calm and were just really awesome. Or we'd be stressed and they'd be like, oh, yeah, they were veterans on it. Or they'd be like, we're gonna do something. Is it okay if Catherine talks to you? And the assistants are like, not right now. It's like, she's going through it, So
nice.
they're amazing. Yeah.
I hate to do this to everyone, but we're going to have to wrap it up with that. Let's give our panel here a hearty round of applause.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you all so much for being here. I'd say you've all contributed to a better glass community in a huge way, and we are all so grateful for what you've done on Blown Away. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask a favor of everyone? Can I get a selfie with all of you?
Let's
Is
do
that
it.
cool? Can I put you on social media? Is that cool? I'm going to do it anyway.
As we're setting that up, I'm just going to read some stuff, so you don't have to pay attention to me. But thanks again to our
That's my
online
face.
and our in-person audience here tonight. We really appreciate you being
Get in
here,
here.
and we appreciate your thoughtful questions.
Okay. So sorry if my butt's out.
Oh, we need a light up here.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And
Looks like I have 40 chins.
A special thanks to our members.
There we go.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your support of the museum. Thank you for supporting our educational programming and the community of artists. We hope that you all enjoy this type of programming, and I would like to invite all of you who are not yet members to consider it to show your support for the Corning Museum and what we do. Coming up, we hope to see you in a few short weeks when we host Einar and Hamax de la Torre as they work here with us in the amphitheater starting May 6th. So we're going to have 2 weeks of amphitheater guest artists with the de la Torre brothers right here. And we certainly would invite you to come back for the opening of their retrospective exhibit, the De La Torre Brothers Kaleidoscope, which will open on May 17th right here. So we would love to see you all back for that.
I
Once
highly
again,
recommend everybody do that.
their work
It's
is
gonna be
amazing.
incredible.
I'm coming. It
Yeah,
looks so
be sure to
good.
come back. But once
Judges
again,
are
thank you
blown
all.
away.
And until we see you again, good night.